a word of explanation to our guests. In Shipmasters, we scale our evaluations. So if it's your first speech or one of your first few speeches, we slant the evaluation heavily towards all the things you did well and give you one or two areas for improvement. As a speaker becomes more advanced, at that point, they already know what they're doing well. We weigh the evaluation more heavily towards areas for improvement. And this was Vikram's 8th speech, and so I'm going to weigh it a little more heavily towards areas for improvement. But first, the things you did well. First of all, I think your presentation was very informative. For a topic as challenging as investment vehicles and stocks and bonds and everything, you could easily talk for 2 or 3 hours explaining how all these things work. You did a great job of scaling it to a 5 to 7 minute speech in terms that pretty much everybody in the room should have been able to understand. So it was a very informative presentation. I think you researched it well. You had a few sources there at the end, and it was scaled very well to your audience at the time. The objective of this speech was persuade with power. I don't feel you persuaded. Okay? This was very good as an informative speech or as a research your topic type of speech. But for persuading, here's how you might have been a little more persuasive. One of the things the book says is to, first of all, position your talk in terms of the audience's interest. So you might have opened the talk by saying, many of you are probably, bewildered by all the investments we have. But we want to have a secure future. We want to be able to retire comfortably. Let me give you some explanation that will help you get there a little bit better. And so that way the audience is tuned into, oh, this is something that I'm going to benefit from, And similarly, you opened up with a story about you and your experience hearing the news about Lehman Brothers and the financial collapse as soon as you got to America and all that, and how that made you apprehensive. You could just as easily position that. We've just been through a terrible financial crisis. How many of you are still a little bit leery of investing? And so that would have, first of all, set your audience up to be persuaded because now they've got some skin in the game. The final thing I would suggest, though, is have a little bit stronger call to action, because when you're doing a speech that is intended to persuade, you want people to know when they walk out the door after your speech what it is you want them to do. Your call to action was pretty general. It was like, I encourage you all to learn more about stocks and bonds and investments. Maybe if you had a more specific call to action, a more specific thing that they could do, it would have been a little more persuasive. Last thing, your slides, too much information. Too many numbers around the page that you never talked about and all that. Distill your slides to only what you need to say. Okay? Otherwise, I say, it was really a very informative speech. I think we all got a lot out of it. Thank you very much.